Leppy was the hybrid I created to challenge Vex in the aquatic hybrid wars, which have been pretty quiet lately. Now, I didn't think that Leppy would actually do very well after hearing the story of Vex, but credit to Paris Tsong for pointing this out, by the way, and for helping decipher Adam, my land hybrid. Vex actually has a number of issues with her that prevent her from being the apex of the oceans. It's kind of like situation with madly Mesozoic Samson. You know, you think they've made a really strong hybrid, but after you do a little digging, you realise that they get hanked. Not as bad as Hank, but still enough to make it not really functional. Like, there are some pretty glaring issues with Vex, such as her head being a huge weak point, and being resistant to every venom known to man, being absolutely ridiculous. So, with Vex pretty much debunked, it's leaving a huge power vacuum in the oceans. But Leppy isn't going to be the one to fill it. Because while all these other creators will make all these other insane ocean hybrids, these giant whales, snakes, squids, turtles, etc., more often than not, it's the true rulers of the respected ecosystem that come out on top. And in the ocean, there's only one group of predators that can get that title. Creatures that have been around for over 400 million years and are still thriving today with very few changes. And those creatures are sharks. So, my hybrid is going to be the most powerful shark to ever exist. Now, if you remember from my hybrid Harvey, his inspiration was the great blue windrunner from The Future is Wild. And this hybrid has another inspiration from The Future is Wild, the sharkopath, the sharks of the future. Now, I'm not putting these in the genome, but I am setting myself a little challenge to recreate the sharkopath as close as possible, while also limiting myself to use mostly only sharks in the genome. Now, for a shark hybrid, you might be expecting me to go with a great white or the megalodon as the base, but I'm going to meet them in the middle, with the Auriculatus. This is an extinct shark from the Eocene, and it's from the same family that would evolve into Megalodon. So, we can basically take a bunch of traits from the Megalodon and apply it to this, but on a smaller scale. So this will provide the base, the size, and the hunting style. In addition, it will also provide armour. Not the best armour in the world, but having some armour is better than having none. Thanks to this creature being a relative of Megalodon, it will have its incredibly strong cartilage and its very strong scales, which also help greatly in being more aerodynamic. In addition to this, sharks have their own sort of targeting system, like Vex with her echolocation, but different, as they will have electroreception, just like other sharks. I don't really know which one's better, but it's still a way for him to get other creatures and know where they are before they find it. The next genetic contributor is the tiger shark. Now, chose tiger shark in particular due to them having very unique teeth, which are much better at chomping through armour. So putting the teeth on this hybrid will give it a much stronger bite. In addition to that, it will also provide a large amount of venom resiliency. Tiger sharks are known as the wastebaskets of the sea since they'll eat almost anything, which include very venomous creatures like lionfish and highly venomous sea snakes, which means they must have rather good resistance to venom. So against any poisonous creatures, just my hybrid's not going to be tapping out as quick. My next contributor might come across as a bit odd, but you'll honestly be surprised at how many overpowered features the bumphead parrotfish has. The first one being its ram. Now, sharks are usually used to ramming into their prey, but this will provide a much more effective ram, since I'm not really sure if we'll have to take a slight genetic liberty to this, but the ram on my hybrid will basically be composed almost entirely out of the strong cartilage, which will grant an incredibly powerful ram attack when backed up by a charge. But the other big reason that the bumphead parrotfish is here is due to its teeth, which are coated in a special substance called fluorapatite, which makes them much stronger and better at chomping through things. Think of it as the short-tailed shrew of the oceans, because while we don't have iron-enforced teeth, this is the next best thing. And it also doesn't interfere with the shark's tooth replacement system, since they can also replace their teeth in a similar way. The fourth genetic contributor is the bull shark, which provides aggression as well as possibly enhancing bite force due to it having the most powerful bite of any modern shark. Yet the main reason for it is actually due to its very adaptable gills, which will enable my hybrid to also venture into freshwater, rather than just being limited to the oceans. Now my hybrid is going to be fairly big, but to make sure we don't sacrifice speed, we're going to have to slim it down somewhat. But not to the level that it won't still be an incredibly voracious predator. And to accomplish this, we're going to basically taking a little homage to my other aquatic hybrid Leppy by including the one billfish that isn't actually in her genome. The sailfish, the fastest fish in the oceans. This will better provide much stronger flippers and tail fins, as well as extra body muscle, so to help it get much faster. Now, it won't reach the same speeds as the sailfish due to it being a bigger size, but it should still be fast enough to outpace anything that it comes across. In addition to that, it'll also be allowed to make much tighter turns as well, so that's just another benefit. Now, I already mentioned that my hybrid can go into freshwater, but in terms of being a sort of planetary shark, it needs to handle certain environments, which is why I'm including the Greenland shark. Now, I don't really know how their sort of system works, but basically they have a special antifreeze system that stops them from freezing in the cold Arctic waters. I don't really know how it works, but I'm implementing it into my shark. Also, they seem to do things where they sort of alternate depths that they go, so that way they can be in the right temperature water. So that should also help my hybrid. As well as this, the Greenland sharks are able to slow down their metabolism to keep themselves alive in dire situations, and so too shall my hybrid. And if any hybrid thinks about eating mine, well, that's not going to go very well for them, because the flesh of the Greenland shark is toxic. So it could likely end up killing the hybrid should they try and eat it. Now, sharks are far from stupid animals. In fact, some scientific research says that their intelligence level is on par with orcas. Maybe not as much as orcas, but still pretty close. But to ensure my hybrid will actually be very smart in battle, we're going to be including one of the smartest creatures in the ocean, and also the last non-shark to make it into the genome, the bottlenose dolphin, which will provide its for the brain, making it incredibly smart, as well as making it very strategic in where it hits, since dolphins are usually observed bullying sharks by targeting the gills, so my hybrid will know exactly where to strike its target. Of course, no shark hybrid would really be complete without including the great white shark, which greatly enhances its senses, including blood sense and electroreception, as well as something called regional endothermy. Basically just another way for my hybrid to handle temperature changes in the water. To end my hybrid, I've decided to add a little more pimp to it, in a similar way to Vex using the glassfish and Kamikaze using bioluminescent squid. I'm going to be including the dwarf lantern shark, to give my creature various bioluminescent patches along its body, as well as greatly enhancing its vision in darker lights, in darker waters. Hello, name's Bruce. So right, I understand. Why, I trust a shark, right? Oh, come on, that was a good Bruce impression, you gotta admit. And yeah, this is my shark hybrid, Bruce. Because what else would I call him? Length 25 feet, weight 2 tons, cruising speed 25 miles an hour, rushing speed 50 miles an hour. Just to add insult to injury to Vex, not only did I make my hybrid to go fin to fin with Vex's base genome orcas, they now specialise in hunting them, intentionally using the bioluminescent patches on their sides to entice curious members of the pod away from the rest, only to lead to them getting ambushed from below, and either that could mean getting a mouthful of teeth rammed into them, or their huge cartilage battering ram spearing them. An attack like that would probably be enough to kill an orca in a single hit, given it strikes a vital area. So, yeah, my hybrid, it is honestly perfect. I don't really see any faults in it. This is what Vex wishes she could be. So I'm going to be deploying my shark in the world and updating you guys via posts on where he's going to be going next. But I'm not actually going to be accepting challenges. Well, I will be accepting challenges, but I'll be doing basically the opposite of what Vex was. Instead of asking people to vote for challenges, this bioaccurate sharkopath will be going around the world defeating all the other challengers of Vex. Well, particularly some of the more popular ones. And the first place that I'm going to be deploying Bruce is the Baltic Sea, where Harris T-Song's iguana hybrid just so happens to be. So, if Harris T-Song wants to respond to this, he's more than welcome to make a debunking video comparing our two hybrids. But just so he knows, and any other hybrid maker who wants to challenge Bruce knows, my hybrid has a secret weapon, a little secret technique that will basically guarantee victory no matter what hybrid you send to challenge him. But I'm not going to tell any of you what it is. If you've watched The Future is Wild, then you'll have an idea on what it is. But if you haven't, well, good luck. Because my shark is rarely alone.